What's going on? Jeff COGA here, and I do apologize. We're about to do the best answer contest giveaway for the mastermind group I run called Real Estate Marketing Mastermind Group, and we tend to do these contests where I try to bribe the members in there. We have currently right now 17,790 members, right? So almost 18,000 people in the space of real estate in there, and I try to bribe you to share value with other people. So this week we talked about this question. Let me actually pull up the question so you guys can see. And I do apologize, I kind of started off late. It was a very important call I wanted to take. So we're a tad bit behind here, ladies and gentlemen. And I am not following my philosophy that I always say, which is what? You'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. And clearly I'm more than a minute late. So I apologize for that. Hopefully you can forgive me on that. So let me go ahead and switch over here to a different screen, and let me know in the chat box if you can physically see the screen and then see what's going on my screen as well. Throw me some hearts on there so that way I know on the screen. I have this particular software that actually shows me like, hey, likes and comments and stuff like that. So let me know by putting it in there that, hey, you know, you can physically see this stuff. All right, so this is what we asked on the best answer contest, and we're giving away $50 for answering the question of the week. And the question of the week is what? Right here, this is the question of the week. Let me zoom in so for y'all can actually see this, and thank you so much for that. Is this? It says, what do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? What do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? All right. Now, I purposefully left this question very open-ended and kind of somewhat vague, right? Because in our group of almost, 18,000 people here, right? Like we got what, right? Like right here, 18,000 people, we got 17,790 is, guess what? We have some real estate investors, developers, private money lenders. We have real estate agents. We have loan originators as well, okay, in there. And then we also have marketing consultants that sell to the real estate space in there as well. So I asked this question. I said, hey, what do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? And how this contest is set up is this, is that we're giving away $50 today. But #1, the first one is going to be based on the amount of likes, right, from our community, how many people actually like it, the answer that you guys gave. And then from there, the second winner is I get to pick the best answer, right? So, which is kind of like right here. It says, hey, most likes plus responses on answer gets $25. And I said, hey, you can like your own comments. And I said, #2, the second winner of the $25, add screenshots, scripts, and tell stories. And I'm going to pick the most creative answer, right? So we did this. So far, we've given away, I think this year alone, just on this little best answer contest, I think I could be wrong. I think we're close to almost, $300 or something like that, $400. So it's not a whole heck of a lot of money, but hopefully people can use some of that money for marketing and or, you know, buy yourself a cup of coffee or something like that, you know, which I think is super cool. So let's go and go down the list of some of the comments and feedback we got from when we asked, what do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? All right, so let's go down this road. So good friend William, William's a funny guy. He's not gonna let me get away with this one, you know, like, yeah, I have to constantly laugh at that because he said, being able to stay focused and keeping your eye on the prize on watching webinars and Facebook live broadcasts with successful real estate mentors training in tank tops. Okay, now if you couldn't guess, and I responded back, the tank top will be back when it's a little more warmer. So if you didn't guess who wears a tank top, does that live stream, is this fella right here, right? Yeah. So when it gets a little bit more warmer, I would typically do live streams in my tank top, like, yeah. And people thought it's weird, you know. Hey, that's the way it is sometimes, right? So William's funny. He actually posted that. We had Ann Boyd said authenticity and the ability to focus on the client, not just yourself and your paycheck. Ooh, that is so powerful, I think, you know. So I asked the question, it would be interesting to do a poll to see why people got into real estate. The money or serving clients? And ask yourself that too for yourself, right? Why did you get into real estate, especially at the traditional side, right? Like if you're an investor and things like that, right? So if you're, when I say traditional, it means like you're doing the listing side, you're doing the loan origination side, right? But if you're the investor side, typically you got into real estate. I know this for a fact, is that you got into it. It's not like to be like, hey, by the way, I want to make my private lender money, you know, I want to get my private investors tons of money by lending out money, you know, hey, borrowing their money and lending it out and getting them paid, right? It's not that case. Usually they got into real estate because, hey, I want to flip some houses and make big chunks of cash, and or it says, hey, I want to buy rental property so I can get cash flow, right? It was for the sheer sake of money, and then from there, hopefully as an entrepreneur and business person, you evolve. You'll say stuff like, hey, you know, you get into a more of a grateful state of being like, hey, the people who help you out, the private lenders that lend you money, as well the staff that you work with, the team member that you work with, right? The people you contract out with, right? Hopefully you have this gratitude thing, okay? So again, it's really interesting. So I put, hey, it would be interesting to do a poll to see why people got into real estate, because Anne said, what is, answering the question, what do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? And she said authenticity and ability to focus, okay? Mike hopped in. I thought this was a really interesting answer where he says balls, right? He said balls. Okay, I'll say, whoa, so I posted this, you know, like the ball. And then it says so much truth to that answer, and I kind of raised my hand up, right? And hopefully he doesn't mind actually doing this. Oh, what's up, man? And I said, hey, you got to expand on this, because I know we have some newer real estate pros as well as Flintstone era real estate pros who don't want to change or don't know how. Right, because it's a conversation I've done in many talks, right, and especially when I was on the circuit at kind of the real estate locally here in Southern California, speaking at the real clubs and stuff like that. I would talk about the Flintstone era house flippers, the Flintstone era real estate agents, the Flintstone era loan originators, and I talked about the Jetson era investors, the Jetson era real estate agents, the Jetson era loan originators, and I said, oh, look, these two people are totally different generation, but age is not the, you know, reason why, hey, someone is different, you know. It's more of their mentality, right? Like someone's in the Jetson era, someone in the Flintstone era, how they get somewhere is completely different, right? Like, you remember, I don't know if you guys remember watching the Flintstone, but, you know, like, how do they get to somewhere, right? They hop into this car, they're like, oh, and then they jump in, and the bottom of the car doesn't have any like floors, and the guy goes with his feet, and he runs across, and that's how he gets somewhere, right? And then versus like the Jetsons, guess what? You get into this little cool little spaceship kind of stuff, and you go and you're like, and you fly around, right? So again, it's technology, right? So technology is different. The utility of what that technology does, it does kind of the same stuff. The only difference is the speed of which you're able to accomplish stuff. And speaking of technology, side note here, you guys hear me say this a lot, which is technology is simply an amplifier, ladies and gentlemen. Technology is an amplifier, just like money is an amplifier. Okay, so if you're already disorganized to begin with, right? Simply trying to get this new technology and trying to get organized, typically it's not gonna help you 100%. Okay, versus if you're already an organized person and then you give actually this like technology like CRM, right? I think that was one of our best answer contests a couple weeks ago. We talked about, hey, what's the best CRM, right? And people were just like, this one. They kept on, you know, giving the answer of what they think the best CRM is, and I picked the winner at that time. It says the best CRM is the one that you're willing to use every single day. Right? And the same concept, technology is an amplifier, okay? So, and then Mike came in here, and I'm not sure if I should share kind of Mike's story here, so I'm not gonna go too much into here, but he basically just started off, and this is my first 6 months, I sold 3.6 million. My first full year, I sold 9 million, putting me in the top 10 out of 750 agents. How did I do it? And he talks about Facebook, social media, right? And he talks about this, right? And he said, I said balls because encompasses multiple things. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing but yourself. If things aren't working, you have to adapt. If things are working, build on it. Very, very important. Very, very important trait to have in business, right? If it's working, do more of it. If it's not working, stop doing it, right? Insanity is what? Doing something over and over, expecting different results, okay? So Fala said to keep in touch with clients and follow the coach's routine, or couches, no, I'm just kidding, coaches, and have knowledge to answer the question and always help clients, right? I like that. Good friend TV, or Tamara, right? She goes by TV. Smart, effective prospecting and getting listings that will sell fast, finding ready and able clients to help them with real estate transaction, bring it to the closing table, make it happen, keep it under control, solve problems, get referrals from happy sellers and buyers, enjoy the process. Right, that got two likes and 2 hearts, and I said, hey, TV, out of those, which one is the top of the list and why? And then she came in and says, magic of numbers, game with the persistence of providing excellent service to many clients and bringing real estate transaction to happy closing and getting referrals for decades, no matter what. So I like that. Right, and then she put in skills to get many sellable listings, build, they will come, build, buyers will follow, right? Smiley emoji, okay? Good friend Sandy, right? Hopefully, I think you're still out in the UK, Sandy. So Sandy hopped in here, and he runs a digital marketing agency, and he sells some of the services to the real estate space, so he knows the industry very well, and we've communicated multiple times and stuff like that, and he has tremendous amount of experience helping people in the real estate space with social and stuff like that. And he says listening, let me rephrase this, okay? Sandy says, listening to what they are not saying. What's up, Charles? I don't know what comment you left, but thank you so much for leaving a comment. It says, listening to what they are not saying. And I said, damn. Okay? Because I said, you should expand on this, Sandy, because some folks might be like, what you mean? I ain't deaf, you know? Right? So he comes in, he says, okay, hashtag truth, and it's okay. Part of listening to what they are not saying starts with being prepared for what you need to hear in order to help with the decision you need to make. As we all know, not all deals are worth your time and energy. So go in prepared with the questions you need answered to, and listen for what people are not saying. What you're listening for is a double speak. Example, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Meaning, I'm sure I don't like what you're saying. Ooh, that's powerful stuff. Right? And as they say, communication, the words that you actually use, depending on where you look, they'll say the words and choices of words you use is typically only what in the world of communication, what, like 20%, 30%, right? If that's not the case, I clearly made it up right now, and that might be it now since I said it. So, but they say that, and the rest of the other parts of communication is what? Tonality. Your body language, okay, has huge parts of, guess what? Communication, okay? So I definitely like that. I was kind of, oh, what happened here? Oopsie. I actually opened up my own video. Sorry. Yeah, so I definitely love this. I'm just kind of shocked I didn't see too many hearts on this, because I love that one. Troy said, when it comes to answering the question, hey, what is the #1 skill set someone in real estate should have? He says, people. You're looking at real estate from wrong perspective. He says, abilities like focus, balls, keeping in touch are requirements for a driven person. Ooh, I like that. But not entirely related to real estate. The most important skill in real estate is the ability to correctly interpret and understand our clients and their needs. So many agents miss this mark here, and we feel that this is all about us and how the next client can help us reach our goals and targets. The truth is, the client respects our professionalism enough to entrust their largest asset in most cases, and know that we've understood their needs and trust our ability to help them reach their goals. Real estate is about service. Without the ability to interpret and understand our clients' requirements, how on earth are we meant to deliver on our service? Damn, that's like drop the mic there, like boom, right? And it's so true. It doesn't matter in what business that you're in, especially I think service businesses, like in the financial world, right? One of the earliest book I read and learned about this, right, is a book called Trusted Advisor. And I recommend this to tons and tons of people to read this book called Trusted Advisor, where you're not a order taker, right? Simply someone says, hey, I want to buy a house. Sure, no problem. Let me get you the house to check so you can look. No. You know, someone wants to sell. Sure, no problem. Let me sell it for top dollars. No, right? It is to go at a deeper and higher level of advisor, right? Like you have to advise, you know? Matter of fact, there was a call I did, on, well, I want to say Friday night. Was it Friday night or Saturday night? where I hop on the phone with a buddy of mine, right? A buddy of mine, and he kind of conferenced me in because he was in a meeting with a seller, right? Good friend Kevin, and we started talking to the seller about options. Right, like options. This particular person has two properties, right? And kind of the brother passed away, and it's in a trust, so it's not going in probate. But there's a situation where the brother's wife is out in the Philippines, and the older brother, I believe, wants to sell these properties, and we're trying to figure out, hey, what is he looking to do? So I hopped on the phone and I stayed on, I think it was like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, talking to the seller directly, kind of asking open-ended question. Hey, what's your, what are you going to do in retirement? Right? I asked that question because I knew he was an older gentleman. He was a tito. Okay, if you're a Filipino, you know what a tito is, right? So he was a tito, right? So I said, hey, so I asked that question. I said, hey, and then I even asked about his a family situation, right? Like, hey, how old is your kids? Right, so he tells me that kind of stuff, and come to find out, he's still supporting kind of I believe the daughter was the oldest, like at 24, there was a 22 and a 20-year-old, right? And so he's literally working to making sure that, guess what, he can make enough for to pay for the schooling for their kids, right? And then from that, he was planning to, guess what, move from this country and move to the Philippines to retire because they're doing some real estate deals out there and stuff like that, right? So he's on there. We're listening, and most individuals might physically be on a one of those calls, and they might have just simply, guess what, walked in there with a listing contract and stuff like that and try to get the deal. But guess what? Good friend Kevin there, he didn't even do that. He didn't walk in there with a listing appointment. He went in there to truly give value to the actual customer, right? Truly give value. And because of that, I believe that he's probably going to get the contract from that, hopefully. Okay, so again, it's about delivering value. Okay, and it's a really, really hard concept to understand because guess what? A lot of people who come into the real estate space, especially there's a lot more younger millennials entering into this space because of Instagram and that kind of stuff, the social media world, because people are like, oh yeah, they're driving this new car, they're making $7,000 checks, $10,000 checks, and then people get infatuated with the big money, not realizing that, hey, this at the end of the day is a people's business, ladies and gentlemen, and you're paid on the advice that you give, and learning these little tie down or strategies to close people over the phone and stuff like that. Are they important? Yeah, but you got to deliver value to people, So I absolutely love that answer that Troy gave, right? So, and I put powerful. What did I put? Powerful and so true, not just in real estate, but about life. Right? It's so true, right? It's about life. And then David said patience, and I said, can you expand on this? Hope, David did, and I wish that he did, Another one, BJ said, genuine service, kind of ties it to what it says. And I said, hey, I like this one too. How do you provide the genuine service? And it says, have clients' best interest at heart, actually caring about individuals, even if they don't use your service. Okay? They say that. Right now, I'll say this, which is a very interesting part about this. If anyone has actually watched the movie Freakonomics, all right, Freakonomics, watch it. There's a segment in there where they study real estate agents, okay, and how they sell their house versus what they do with their client's house. Right? Now get the book too. Freakonomics is damn good if you're kind of into like numbers and stuff like that. I obviously am, being an Asian guy. Okay, they talk about this is that on there they'll say, hey, real estate agents who sell their house versus their clients. So what they did was they looked at a data set and then says, okay, this real estate agent, has sold X amount of properties, right? Like, hey, 10, 20, whatever from that study that they use. And not only that, but in the last, 12, 24 months, 36 months or whatever, they sold their own principal resident. So let's go and look how they sold their property versus how they sold their client's property, right? That was kind of the study, right? And surprise, surprise, if you looked at the stats and you looked at that, they came out and basically said real estate agents listed their property, when they listed themselves, like they're the owner and they listed the property, they listed their houses, I want to say, 40% longer than their clients, right? 40% longer than their clients. And they did their little magical calculation. They figured out that they actually sold the home almost close to 15% more, I believe. I believe it was like 15 or 10% more. Think about that for a second. It's $1 million. We're talking about $100,000. If we're talking about $500,000, we're talking about $50,000 in someone, So again, house being one of the largest assets for most individuals, okay? Imagine that, right? An agent that actually sells their own home takes longer and takes more time to sell their own place, and they're, say, across the board they're selling maybe 10%, 15% more. So if it's a $500,000 home, that's $50,000. So it is a very, very hard concept and a very, very hard thing to do, because, you know, ask yourself, why did people actually get into real estate? Heck, I come from a real estate background, okay? My grandpa runs a real estate company out in Japan. My uncles are in real estate, okay? We're in real estate, okay? I watched them, you know, hey, I watched them. And guess what? When I was growing up, I didn't physically say, oh man, I want to do real estate. I didn't absolutely say that, okay? I wanted to be an archaeologist, okay, of all things. I wanted to be like Dr. Jones, Indiana Jones, if you know that movie, okay? So again, very powerful stuff. Here's another one. Let me see here. Did this one? What happened here? How come this one's not pulling up? She said negotiation. Negotiation with whom? And I said sellers and buyers or agent. And can you expand on this, right? So this was her answer on the when I asked her, hey, what is one of the number one skills that someone in real estate should have? And Karine said, if you don't have the skills of negotiation, you won't survive in this business. Doesn't matter with whom you're working with, buyers or sellers. You negotiate the price first when listing a house. Negotiate when writing an offer. Negotiate when going back and forth with offers. Negotiate lenders and title fees. Negotiate early late possession. I can go on with the list. And in every situation, you have to get the win-win results and make sure both sides are happy. I love this too. Right? I absolutely love this too. And why is it like when I click on stuff, it just like jumps somewhere else? I apologize for that. We'll get better at this contest stuff, right? Yeah, so negotiation is a huge part of real estate. As a matter of fact, I think negotiation is a huge part in life as well, where, you know, the better negotiation you can negotiate, you know, you get better results. And negotiation really isn't like some, like, you're doing some, you know, Jedi mind tricks to convince someone that, hey, this is the way it is. That's not, I don't think, a true negotiation is, right? A true negotiation is both sides are making compromises, okay? Both sides are making compromises, and then at the end, they have mutual respect for each other, and then from there, they say, ah, this works. Because if they don't have mutual respect for each other on one side, that means typically one side is getting the shorter end of the stick, and then someone might have some remorse. Okay? So a true, I think, thing, it has to be like a win-win-win, in my opinion, in real estate, right? Especially if you're in the traditional real estate realm, right? It has to be a win for the what? The seller. It has to be a win for the buyer, and it has to be a win between the agents and stuff like that, you know? So I've always asked the question, how come they don't just do open bids? I've always wondered about that in real estate, you know? How come there's not an open bid system? It would make things a lot more easier, you know, kind of like eBay. You know, if you actually, everyone could see what people are offering, you know. So Teresa said communication skills, right? Totally a life skill, not just a real estate, right? That's so true. Donna says honesty. Be a people's person. Be a people's person. I think that's what Donna was trying to say. TJ said communication when it comes to the number one skill that someone in real estate should have. If you're unable to get out of your shell, you'll never have clients in the first place. And if you can't communicate with your clients and customers and other agents effectively during a transaction, you will most certainly run into major problems. And again, this is another life skill too, right? That we don't technically have any type of communication class that we take or people get. Guess what? And when we're in elementary or junior high or even high school, I didn't take any. You know, so you know, if you're like a really, really good coder or math whiz or mathematician or something like that, I guess technically you don't have to. Tom says persistence. This is by far the best trait to have as a realtor. It's not just buyers and sellers. It's not just other brokers. It's just not the 1099 status. It's not the market. It's not the public that thinks we are a commodity. It's being able to face all that every day in and day out for years. Now, it's the disruptors. Soon, it will be the auction sites having us bid with the lowest commission. But persistence get us past all that every day, and hopefully with a smile. And I said persistent, the courage and resolve, the superpower and strength of character. Right, that's what I put. Very true, right? Persistent. Kim said, hey, one of the number one things that real estate pros should have to succeed, it says lead creation, follow-up, and closer, basically just do the work. Okay, straightforward. I like that too. Listening to your clients. Brenda, Kelly said tenacity. I wish that she expanded on this tenacity. And then this is where Michelle came in. Okay, and Michelle, I am going to read yours because it says empathy. I have often said that we should be required to have a psychology degree to do what we do. We have to be able to understand and empathize with sellers who is going through the stress and sleepless nights about whether their home will sell, whether they will get through the inspection, how the closing will coordinate with the move to their new house, and whether the buyer will make it to the end and get final approval. On the buying side, they worry about the payment and whether they are equipped to handle home ownership. Let's not talk about the stress of losing a couple homes and multiple offers. Then there are the various personalities and egos on all sides of the transaction, from inspectors to lenders to title people and other agents. Quite frankly, some days I drink LOL and has a wine cup on there. Okay, so I'm going to pick the winner here. And for the folks who participated, again, thank you so much. I really, really, really do appreciate you. And for some of my heavy hitters in here, right, because we have almost 18,000 people in here, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't know, some of the people actually in this group right now, out of the 18,000 people, right, are multiple high 7 and sometimes 8-figure people in here. They're just on the side. And some of these people that run marketing agencies, they're spending like literally like 100 grand on advertisement in the space of real estate and stuff like that. They're just simply in here on the sidelines. So again, I'm doing it this way so we can elevate the caliber of this group and be able to continuously, guess what, motivate each other, but also at the same time give value and then be kind to each other and then keep on pushing us so that way as an industry and as a whole, you know, hey, we can all elevate together, right? Now hopefully the folks that are not going to elevate, guess what, they're going to probably be out of business very shortly. But if you stick around and we all elevate together, we're all going to be in a great place, you know, because look, things are changing, it's moving fast. Okay, so I put, yes, empathy is huge, and that ties into emotional intelligence, which has always been a challenge for me, so I can relate. So far, I love this answer. By the way, care to share a story and maybe a client scenario where empathy led to more business? Please, right? And then she comes in and it says, thank you. I think many of my listing referrals comes as a result of empathy. I recently listed a client who was selling her childhood home that her daughter and family was renting. We had some ups and downs, but kept things calm for her. And with it came time for the final walkthrough, and it was important to her to meet the young woman who would be living in the home that her family had owned for generation. I arranged for she and I to meet the buyer and her agent at the final walkthrough. My client brought a small gift for the buyer and shared with her generations of history about the house and the neighborhood. They exchanged phone numbers, and it was a really nice transition for all. She now has a new friend. A couple of months later, her sister and had a house to sell that had previously been on the home that they raised their family in, and which her son was currently renting. She said her sister told her there was no other realtor and that she would be listing it with me, and beautiful family and beautiful experience. People are sometimes closing chapters in their life stories, and like any well-loved book, and we close it gently with care rather than slamming it shut and tossing it on a shelf. Unless it's a divorce, then that's a whole different type of empathy. Right? So, what happened to my thing? So again, the winner of this week's Best Answer contest, answering the question, what do you think is the #1 skill you must have to succeed in real estate? All right, by the votes of the people here, is going to be Michelle, who said it is empathy. Okay, so, and she took the time and energy to physically tell her personal story on that. Hopefully people can relate that, hey, it ain't just about the money, man. Okay, even though money might have gotten you into the game, okay, but it has to be something else to help you stay in the game longer. All right, you have to do something else to stay in the game longer. Trust me, okay. You might be able to convince other people otherwise, but hey, if you're driven just strictly on commissions or a flip or whatever it is, people find out very quickly that, hey, dude, you're not going to be here for that long, okay? So again, Michelle, please reach out to us. You are the winner. Thank you so much, and congratulate her. For anyone that's watching the replay or later on, congratulate her. And the most interesting one that I want to pick as a winner, which is another one that's really, really important. It kind of ties into many things that I talk about. Many things that I talk about is because I'm a believer if you have empathy, right, then you should have the next thing, which is, where is it? I already had the requirement picked. Where is it? Where is it? Is this one. Okay, here, I'm sorry, it's right in front of my face. It's Kareen. So Kareen is the winner. Why? Because she said negotiations. All right, negotiations. Now you might be like, why are you picking one of the number one traits that you should have is negotiations? Okay, is look, think about this for a second, right? Like if you're an investor, okay, if you're an investor, you got to be able to negotiate with vendors, especially if you're like buying, fixing, and flipping. You got to be able to negotiate with vendors. You got to be able to even negotiate with private investors. You got to be able to negotiate with real estate agents who keeps on telling you to offer more on the property, offer more on the property. You got to be able to negotiate with sellers as well. Okay, and not just simply saying, hey dude, this is it. Remember what I talked about negotiation, right? It has to be truly a win-win-win situation. Okay, and it's a very, very hard thing to, and negotiation kind of ties into sales as well, and communication as well, and it ties into even empathy, because you're a true negotiator is not, if you don't have empathy, right, you won't be able to negotiate. Why? Because you'll just be simply firm. Versus being firm on being flexible, then you'll be able to keep your stay in a state of possibilities and be able to at least figure out unique ways to be able to make it a win-win situation. So Kareem, you are the second winner. So please reach out to us. Myself and my staff, or someone from my staff, will be PayPaling you $25 for participating in the best answer contest. All right, so again, that's what I have for you on today's, or this week's, best answer contest. Hopefully you got value out of this, and if you're not part of the group, go make sure you search for Real Estate Marketing Mastermind, where we tend to talk a lot about marketing, but also at business as well. And for those folks who participated, thank you so much. And those folks who only put like one word in there, next time maybe you may want to a little bit expand more on that, because hey, we're giving out real money, and we're trying to elevate this group as a whole together. That's what I got. Thank you so much. This is Jeff COGA. I enjoyed doing this. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did this. So okay. So I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Love you guys, and bye-bye. Ciao. Bye-bye.